Hi folks, welcome back to my channel, Dark Sky Photography. Here we are on the west coast of Anglesey at Holyhead Island, a place called Southstack Lighthouse. As you can see, you can get beautiful panoramic views of the Llyn Peninsula, the Irish Sea, the mountains, and on clear days you can even see Ireland in the distance. And so what I want to do this evening is do some nightscapes in this area and capture the lighthouse and Elins Tower behind me. It's going to be a lovely night, not many clouds, and I may have to do this vlog in two parts because I think tomorrow night is also going to be a nice evening, and so I can do a few angles and lines of approach on these wonderful landmarks we have in this region. In the night sky we've got Orion, and that sets pretty low in the night sky by 10 o'clock, and so I don't have much time to do the night shots, and I want to get quite a large panorama of the Milky Way Arc and winter constellations while they're still in the night sky. Soon they'll disappear. The core will be heralding in very soon. It'll get earlier and earlier and will rise for longer and longer as the weeks and months progress. So I'll be switching my attention to the summer targets before too long. But while I have the opportunity, let's finish off on Orion and the winter night sky. And so keep up with me and see what I get up to. It's going to be good. So hi guys, one of the targets this evening is going to be Elins Tower, of course. It was built by, I think it was William Owen of Penrose, William Owen Stanley, and he was a notable landowner and MP and had a lot to do with uncovering archaeological sites in this area, such as the Penrose Fellows Standing Stones, the hut circles, and he did a bit on our local mountain, Holyhead Mountain, where he found the Timar hill fort as well. But he did a lot in the area, and quite a philanthropist was our Owen Stanley, and so he built this crenellated folly behind me for his wife Llyn, of course, which is why it's called Elins Tower, and he did that in about 1867, and it was a place for her to retreat to, a refuge, because I think she suffered a bit from mental stress, and looking out to the panoramic views of the sea and the sky really helped her ease her mind and soothed her stress away. And of course you can just imagine that it's absolutely beautiful. Just look at the sky behind me there. So hi guys, I'm going to head down to Elins Tower, which you can maybe see behind me, and I'll do some night shots of the sky. I've got Orion in the right place now. I was shooting here the previous night, but Orion was too far over towards the lighthouse, and so I've got it in the position where I want to take the image this evening, and with the composition I have in mind should work quite nice. If you see a flashing light to my right, your left, that is a floating platform which is connected to an underwater hydroelectric turbine, one of the first in the UK, and we've just secured more funding to expand the project with the use of tidal energy to produce electricity, part of our drive for green energy. So that's what the flashing light is behind me. Okay, let's head down towards Elins Tower and do some shots. Right, so what I'm doing, I'm using the Sigma Art 50mm lens just to get a nice bit of foreground detail on Elins Tower there. And I'm also going to use the 50mm to go for Orion and its nebula, which is rising quite nicely above this crenellated folly. It's going to make for a nice composition, and I'm going to try and bring plenty of that nebula and detail out in the Orion region. I also might use some H-alpha as well. I got the H-alpha filter, and if I don't have time to take long exposure H-alphas, I have a storage of data on my computer with 50 and 24mm shots. So I do a bit of a shortcut sometimes, and I'll add in the 50mm H-alpha or 24mm version in post-processing just to save time. I don't think there's much wrong with that, but yeah, I'm also going to use a 24mm lens as another type of composition, a bit closer in towards the tower, and see how that turns out. Behind me, by the way, was a lovely cafe, just fantastic carrot cake, and I noticed that the Plough constellation is arising above the cafe at the RSPB centre there. And I think it's worth taking a shot of that too, but I think I'll use a much wider angle lens, so I'm going to bring out the 14mm Samyang and take a shot of a cafe and the Plough as well. I think it'd be quite nice. There's a calf. And there's a Plough. Orion above Elins Tower. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then Orion is going to move to the right and head towards, the lighthouse. So I'm just on the other side of Elins Tower now. It was itself being quite nicely light painted by the lighthouse, and so I didn't want the lighthouse beams to interfere with my night shots. I'm taking up the sky now. And so I've just got myself out of that illuminatory path of a lighthouse, and so I'm more in the dark. I take in images of Orion, maybe a bit of Monosaurus, the unicorn constellation, a bit of Taurus, and we still got Mars up there. I don't think I'll go that high. I want the general region of Orion to complement the foreground images of Elins Tower I got earlier, and then we'll maybe shift to another location, have another angle at the lighthouse with ones I've already taken. Yeah, nice. Okay guys, I've taken the night shots of 50mm Sigma Art, and I've gone all the way past Sirius for Dog Star in Canis Major, and all the way to Jupiter and Aldebaran on the right arm of Orion, and so that area is sufficient to cover the landscape portion of what I did with Elins Tower. I did 3 landscape shots which I'll merge, and with the sky shots, same lens, I've done at least 6, maybe 7 columns, but only 1 row in portrait orientation to get plenty of sky with a 50mm. And now I am actually going to try the H-alpha filter. And so this filter I need to put in front of my sensor. And so I need to remove the lens. And so what I'm going to do is, first of all, make sure my camera mirror position is in the up position. Mirror lockup, enable. Okay, so depress the shutter button, That gives me a bit of time now to drop down again. There. So mirror up. We'll put this inside. Okay, mind you, you're not going to get mirror lock up anymore. It's going to stay in the upright position. There we are. I don't know if you can see that, but I think that's not too bad. I think we can go with that. And what I'll do about 2.5 minute exposures, do several of the Orion region and a bit higher, and try and get all that lovely nebula to come out more and make the sky shots a bit more interesting and dynamic to see. Right, I'll crack on with that. Okay, so I'm at my other location now. I've just moved away from Elins Tower, the path, to a vantage point just above a lighthouse in the background. And I'm going to use the Rokinon 24mm to do some panoramic shots of the scene. And so I want to capture panorama from the tower to South Stack. We've got Orion falling behind me, and that's going to be in the middle to the left third of the panoramic sky, I reckon. And so it's going to be a nice composition with a foreground. It'll be pretty decent in the night sky. We have some good constellations to pick off. We'll go as far as Cassiopeia to the north, and from Sirius in the south, and Orion and the California Nebula, and we have Pleiades, we have the Seagull Nebula, and of course we've got the Orion Nebula and the Horsehead and Flaming Tree Nebula there also. And so yeah, there's going to be some nice colour in this sky, which I'll try and bring out without the H alpha. It's quite a big scene, so I don't think I'll have time to do H alpha. Orion is yeah, not so high in the night sky, but I can dwell on it. And so I'll still stack and track my exposures for the night sky. But first I'll do the foreground, which will probably be about 2-minute exposures. I'll ISO 800 and f4, so I can maximize foreground detail and try and make use of a hyperfocal distance with a 24mm Rokinon, which is about 12 feet from where I'm standing, a bit less at aperture 4 because I'm a bit more open. The night sky, I'll close the aperture down to probably about 3.2, and because I'm tracking, I can get away with a more open aperture, and that'll help with reducing distortion and astigmatism on the stars, but also maintain good dynamic range of colours in the night sky. So I'll give that a go, and I'll probably again use ISO 800, maybe 1600. The wind's picking up a little bit here, so I've got to be mindful of a bit of motion blur because I'm quite exposed on this rock here. And I'm not the only one. And there's a couple of photographers around here, and I've seen one going down just to the right of me there, and they make it themselves in the frame of my shot. But I don't mind. If they stay still long enough, then they might add a bit of interest to the foreground. And so, yeah, I'm going to crack on with that, and then I think maybe in one more composition in perhaps when I move closer to the lighthouse at the lower car park, and then that might be it. But let's do this one first. Crack on. So hi guys, just doing off my finishing off my foreground shots, and I'm using the Orion 24mm in landscape orientation on the Canon 6D. I'm using ISO 1600, an exposure time of about 60 seconds. ISO, at least 1600 because it is pretty dark here. And aperture of I think I'm using 3.5 or 4 just to ensure I keep as much foreground in focus as I can. And when I switch to the lighthouse behind me, to my left, your right, I needed to change exposures to capture the light beams, and I do this by shortening the time. You know, a 60-second exposure of the light beams, you're just going to have a complete blur all around the lighthouse. It would be exposed for the island, but you won't get any definition of the light beams. And so what I do is I reduce exposure time all the way down to 4 seconds, depending on how fast they rotate. But 4 seconds is enough to get a nice defined vector beam off the lighthouse. But you do have to ramp up your ISO. I think I've gone up to about 6,400 just so I can pick out that light in such a short time nicely. And I've taken a few exposures so I can stack them in post later to help reduce the noise. And so, yeah, when you do lighthouses, you have to be a bit more careful on how you expose and change your exposures to get a nice balanced dynamic range, so you can see the light beams and the lighthouse and the island it's on, and that it will blend with the rest of the foreground. And now I'm going to take my attention to the night sky. Orion is pretty nicely between Ellin's Tower and the lighthouse, and so I'm going to just drop down this hill a little bit to try and get some shelter because it's pretty windy and I don't want blurry stars with my star tracker, and so I don't need to try and get the vantage point for the foreground anymore. It's the sky I'm after now, so I'm just going to move position slightly to get better shelter, and then I can set up and do the night sky shots. Move wedge on an indexing rotation base. Move nomad. Polaris just over there. Let's switch the laser on, see how close I am. The wrong one. Canon 6D, Astro modified, working on 24mm lens, my favourite focal length for doing night shots. Intervalometer. Now I'll go to my go-to settings, which is a 60-second exposure, ISO 800, and we'll set the f-stop to about 2.8, 3.2, It's hard to see with dial, but about 3.2 I think I'm at. Now let's secure this in portrait orientation. So I'm on 15-degree increments on my indexer plate, and so I know I get nice overlap with that with this lens. Switch on. I'm just going to check the level. There's the lighthouse. I've got to bring this all the way around in 15-degree increments. That looks pretty level to me. So what I'll do, Orion and the constellations are sinking into the northwest horizon. So I'll start to the right first, and then I'll work to the left towards Ellin's Tower, and then I'll zigzag back to the lighthouse and go a bit higher. I'll do 2 rows in portrait to make sure I get all of the Milky Way Arc. Orion. Cassiopeia is too far over there. I'll have to leave Cassiopeia. So I won't get the full Milky Way Arc, but I'll get plenty of it. So I've come off the hill. It was a bit breezy up there, but I think I got myself not a bad pano between Ellin's Tower and the lighthouse here. Probably didn't get the full Milky Way Arc, but you know, my car's just over there. The lighthouse is just behind me, and the path leading to it is ready to be walked upon. But I don't have time to walk 400 steps down the bottom to visit the lighthouse, not when it's dark anyway. And if you want to know, the lighthouse, it was built in, I think, 1809 by Trinity House. And it's about 100 feet high. And it's on a little island called Ynys Llawd in Wales, in Welsh. And so it's, as you know, an iconic spot for visitors that come along. And you can still go on the island by walking those steps and just paying a small fee. And you can get into the lighthouse itself and go up to the light room, and I think that revolves about once every 10 seconds or so, but the light from it, ships 28 miles away can see this lighthouse, and the ships that use the RSPB corridor on the passage between Dublin, Holyhead and Liverpool are most thankful that it's there showing the way, a great waypoint, so they know where the dangerous hard bits of the coastline are. But while we're here, I think it'd be rude not to do a shot. So I'm just going to do a shot with my 50mm Sigma Art. I'm going to do it in portrait because I want to try and get a bit of foreground in and the path leading down to the lighthouse. So I'll do a couple of, probably 3 columns actually. And then I'll do some night shots of Orion, which is sinking quickly behind me. And so I've got time to do this last shot, and then I'll probably have to return to finish off Orion how I want to do it properly, because it will be the last one of the winter season. So I want to do a big pano, but because Orion sinks so quick, I'm going to have to come back. But I'll finish off this evening with a quick little cheeky shot here of a lighthouse and Orion still just above the horizon behind me. So I'm going to get going and take this shot, and hopefully it'll make for a nice composition before I think about coming back. Yeah, let's do this. So yeah, I've come back to finish the South Stack, Elins Tower, Milky Way and Orion panoramic adventure, and this time I've got Orion just in the place I want it. The problem at this time of year, Orion sets so quickly I don't get enough time to go to all my locations I want to capture Orion, so I've had to come back tonight to finish the job. And so I've advanced further up the stacks towards the lookout, which will be included in this panorama. So the South Stack lookout will be on the rightmost part of a pano, and then I'm going to include the South Stack lighthouse behind me, of course, and I'm going to go all the way to Elins Tower. And so near enough, nearly 180-degree coverage here, so I'm going to do quite a few panels to try and stitch this all together nice. And of course I'll probably incorporate most, if not all, of the Winter Milky Way Arc, all the way from Canis Major, where Sirius the Dog Star is, to Cassiopeia and the Cygnus region. And I'm hoping I'll be able to do some H alpha as well, because with Orion setting quickly, I still need to do this pretty fast. Another problem coming back to finish this vlog here is that we have the crescent moon in the night sky now, and so we'll have another bit of interest in the night sky to deal with. It's only like a 15-20% crescent, but on the camera it's going to blow out a bit like a full moon. And so yeah, that's going to be the difference between tonight and what I did a few days ago. But it's added interest into the composition, and I think it'll be all right. I'll take some shots before long and we'll soon see, eh? And so yeah, let's set up and get on with the last night's vlog. Here we go. So to try and get as much sharpness in the foreground right up to the lookout tower, I'm going to use f4, and with the Rokinon it's manual focus these lenses, so you also have to go around to the front of the camera and double check what f-stop it's on. And so yeah, I've done that, and now I'm going to do a 2-minute exposure, ISO 1600, and there we go, and see how it comes out, and hopefully everything will be in decent focus, because I've tried to center on the hyperfocal distance, and so that'll give me the best chance of getting everything in focus, hopefully. And so if this first shot works, I shall then carry on and do the remaining foreground panorama shots. I'll probably need at least 3, maybe 4. Cool. Okay, so quite happily taking images here with the Rokinon 24mm, and I'll use the same lens in portrait fashion to capture the Winter Milky Way. Orion is sinking pretty quickly behind me, over to your left, my right, and so I need to move quite quickly to capture Orion. I don't think I'll be able to track and stack, so I think I'll just track single images, see how they come out. I'm also doing a time lapse with my other Canon, which is astro modified, and this Canon is the 650 Ti, the Rebel. It's an APS-C sensor, so not full frame, but I've attached a 14mm Samyang wide-angle lens to it, try and capture as much of the Milky Way as I can as it descends into the sea above the lighthouse. And so that's the central point for the time lapse. And I think the moon's not blowing it out actually, so I'm hopeful this will come out quite good. And so yeah, nearly done the foreground images, and then I'll work on the sky images. Gotta be quick here. So yeah, I've just increased the exposure time to 2 minutes on the foreground images, which I'm doing in landscape, and I'm doing quite a few because I want to try and keep a level horizon. If I have not a very good overlap, then you can see the horizon buckling, as it were, and so I'm keeping a really good overlap of at least 50 to 60% to try and avoid buckling the horizon, and so it'll make for an easier stitch in post afterwards. Alright, I just done my sky shots, folks, and I think they might be okay. That moon really is bright, even though it's just a crescent on the image. It's a big white globe of a ball, but I think I can get away with it. And so, since I only did single panels, not stacking any of the chat shots, I'm going to put the H-alpha filter into the camera, and I'm going to use that to bring out the nebula, and then I'll blend them into the sky shots later. And so that's to compensate for the lack of stacking. And so yeah, I'm going to do 3-minute exposures with a H-alpha, and do another pano from the lookout to Ellen's tower, and incorporate them into the composition in post later, and I think that'll come out quite nice. And so yeah, a few cars coming up here. Unfortunately the beams, and when they're on full beam, they do light up the top of the stacks here, and so a little bit irritating, but you've got to live with cars in our world, I'm afraid. So yeah, okay, we'll just do our best and overcome those little issues. Right, so that's my last image. I got Orion there, and I think it's going to be good. Okay, time for H-alpha. Need to put mirror lockup on. Okay. Lens out. Press the shutter button. Mirror up. Let's put the filter in. Yeah, and the mirror back down, so that's gone in fine. Quick little clean with static 3 cloth. Let's put the lens back on. Okay, lens back on. Check the centering. The move is still moving, so recenter. We've got a nice bright object to center or even to focus the filter on, because it's always difficult to focus with these H-alpha filters because they're so dense with bright light. So the moon is going to be ideal to help me focus my lens. And there's the moon, the crescent moon. Centered and focused. Right, so let's de-zoom and we'll start thinking of taking some images. And so Orion is sinking, so let's go over towards Orion before it disappears into the sea. And we'll start at the Seagull Nebula and work across to Orion, and then over the moon to the California Nebula, and head over to Cassiopeia, and maybe we'll get a bit of the Cygnus region if it rises, because that is starting to rise now. Move shoot move is still on. This can be a long exposure, 3 minutes. All right, star tracker and intervalometer set. I need to adjust my ISO. I'm going all the way to 3200. Try and get as much H alpha as I can. And I've just shifted to f2. Because I've shifted to f2, I'm going to drop my ISO down a bit to 2500. The sky shots earlier were done on f3.2. I closed the aperture down just to reduce astigmatism and distortion of stars, and hopefully I'll get nice sharp stars without too much hassle with their appearance. So behind me, the ferries have just crossed each other. One has just come from Dublin to land in Holyhead Port, and the other ferry has just left Holyhead Port and is heading towards Dublin in Ireland. And when I process this panorama, you may notice by the lighthouse just to the right of it, you'll see a light dome on the horizon, and that's caused by Dublin, 60 miles away. For light pollution reflecting off the sky all the way across the Irish Sea is visible over here from South Stack. And so yeah, I'm coming towards the end of my H alpha shots, and then I'll soon pack up and head home and start to process the images over the next few days. And so this should conclude my winter astro vlog of Orion and the Winter Milky Way, the nebula of California and Seagull, and all the other nice nebula we got within the Milky Way Arc. And also you may note that the moon has completely obscured the Pleiades. It's covering the Pleiades this evening, so you're not going to see them in this panorama. The moon's way too bright. But what a glow off the sea does the moon give. Beautiful. And so I hope this vlog comes out good, and I hope you've enjoyed what I've done with it. And if the images come out nice, I'm going to show them all for you very shortly. And if you do like those images, give me the thumbs up and subscribe if you wish. But soon enough, it's core time. and the next vlog I'll try and get the core rising. At the moment it's about 4 in the morning when the core rises, and unfortunately I got work tomorrow, so I can't stay up for that. I'll be too tired, and so it's going to be a future vlog, so hopefully I'll see you for that one. And so from me, from South Stack Lighthouse, Elins Tower and the Winter Milky Way and Orion, that's it for this winter. Bring on the summer and the core. So hope to see you again on the next one. Take care all. Bye.